liked and I missed it on video. Thank you so much. Can you say it again? Say it again. Say it again. Yes, say it again.
Make me famous, bitch.
Yes.
From the river to the sea.
Thank you so much.
So this is in Canada, and it's actually disgusting to me that people are acting like this and supporting terrorists and Islamists. Our forefathers fought against Islamists, and they also fought against communists and Nazis and Marxists and all these things. And socialists, they're on their last leg too, because I'm sick of the stuff that they're doing with the school lunch programs and trying to get everyone to vote for them for a free sandwich when we could all have our the value of our dollar back. We'd be able to afford our own food, have more kids. This is ridiculous. And now look what's going on. Even the Jewish people are making fun of us, the right-wing Jews. All these Jewish people are criticizing Canada because we allowed this to happen. But I want to draw your attention to something here. What's this right here? Is that a rabbi and another rabbi and Palestinians? Where's all the Scottish people and the English people and the Irish people, you know, the Canadians? I don't see them anywhere. We got one guy here. One guy here. Maybe these guys. It doesn't even sound like English is their first language. So calling these people Canadians. Oh, Canada, look, another left, or well, I guess he's right-wing Jewish person now, but he's also criticizing Canada. What's this here? A rabbi, another rabbi, same video. I'm going to say it, GOP has a Nazi problem, another Jewish person criticizing us, and more we pretend like we don't, the worse it's going to get. We do, don't tell me we don't. I agree, there's a proto-fascist problem in the right-wing area, but there's also a radical, the Jews have a leftist radical Palestine supporter problem. Toronto yesterday, not putting up with anyone raising a foreign flag on one of our major cities, City Hall. And here's Gad a month ago, oh Canada, again, talking shit about Canada. This person, this is what surrendering to Islamists look like. Also criticizing us. This is when I first noticed the rabbis, alright? Now, I tagged Israel, TBN, Israel, Hunters and Nazis, Reuben Report, Gad Sad, Mark Carney, Pierre Polyev. You got some splaining to do. And then I commented, Israel Foreign Ministry, the syllabus taught in Palestinian schools nurtures hate for Israel at every opportunity. I said, where was this taught? So I'm actually sick of this, getting blamed for everything that happens here in Canada. When I voted against the current government, when I was fighting for Jewish people, when I was fighting against the people, like the terrorists in Palestine. On November 17th, 2025, the Toronto City Hall raised the Palestinian flag for the first time to mark the 37th anniversary of Palestinians' Declaration of Independence. Oh, wasn't it Israel, Trump, all those people that are bringing peace to the Middle East? I didn't see Canada's name written on that. So this is happening because of what's happening in the Middle East right now, actually. The event was organized by the International Center of Justice for Palestinians, ICGP, and approved under city policy for nations recognized by Canada. Canada officially recognized Palestine in September 2025, against all our wishes. The rabbi shown raising the flag is Rabbi David Mevazir, sorry if I got that wrong, a Jewish anti-occupation activist, so chicken for KFC, with Independent Jewish Voices Canada, so IJVC is the name of their organization. He and other Jewish groups participated in solidarity with Palestinian Canadians, emphasizing peace and justice. The ceremony was peaceful but controversial, opposed by some pro-Israel groups and politicians. And I oppose this too because I don't want anyone's foreign flag being raised in one of my major cities at a city hall. That's insane. And we probably do it for a lot of flags, but this one is being politicized specifically to hate on Canada and to hate on Jewish people. And it's not the Canadians like me that's doing this. I live like probably 12 hours away from here. I got nothing to do with this. Now, that being said, let's move on with our show. First up, we have Geopolitics from 1 day ago. So this is 24 hours explained.
China with an attack. And in response, China said that if Japan makes even a small mistake, they will refresh the memories of 1945. What happened is that Japan issued a statement directly warning China that if China attacks Taiwan or tries to take it over, Japan will attack China without hesitation. In reply, China has issued an alert to all its citizens, saying no one is allowed to travel to Japan for any purpose, and no business will be conducted with Japan. All flights have been canceled. If we look at this year's data, around 7 million Chinese people visited Japan for different purposes. China directly addressed Japan's prime minister and warned that they can make Japan relive 1945. The question arises, what problem did Japan have that it openly issued such a warning to China? Experts say that Japan and the U.S. are forming an alliance in which the U.S. won't come forward directly to stop any attack on Taiwan, but will instead use Japan and put it at the front line. Does Japan have enough technology to challenge China like this? If I give my personal opinion here, Japan doesn't have enough capability to fight China alone. Waiting for your thoughts in the comments.
So did anyone say proxy war in Southeast Asia? Was that on your Christmas list? Next up, we have another summary of the last 24 hours, which I thought was really good.
Here's the last 24 hours in geopolitics. Ukraine and France signed a deal for 100 Rafale jets plus air defenses, a long-term move to rebuild Kiev's air power against Russia. In Manila, over 500,000 Iglesia Ni Cristo members rallied, demanding a probe into ghost flood control funds, increasing pressure on President Marcos Jr. Bangladesh's special tribunal sentenced ex-PM Sheikh Hasina to death in absentia over last year's student uprising, marking a seismic political shift. The FAA lifted shutdown-era limits at 40 major airports, saying controller staffing has stabilized. In the Pacific, the U.S. carried out its 21st strike on an alleged drug boat as allies like the UK and Colombia voiced concern. Trump says he's, sort of, made up his mind on Venezuela, while U.S. assets tighten pressure. Iran claims enrichment is halted only due to bombed sites and warns Europe over a new IAEA move. Japan tries to ease tensions after Beijing's travel warning, while regional elections in Chile and Ecuador highlight polarization and sovereignty fears. And in Washington, Trump now urges Republicans to release the Epstein files.
Okay, so this is another summary of the last 24 hours. So 3 summaries, all different things.
4 hours in geopolitics. Subscribe to our newsletter for more.
Basically, there's a lot going down right now. Like more than I can even track.
Romania evacuated the commune of Chiatalchioi after a Russian strike ignited a gas tanker on the Ukrainian side of the Danube, forcing residents, animals, and the ship's crew to leave as emergency services warned of possible explosion risks. Polish officials reported 2 sabotage incidents on a key railway line to Ukraine, confirming a blast near Mika and a second disruption near Puławy, which senior ministers said were likely linked to foreign intelligence services. China sent Coast Guard vessels through the Senkaku or Diaoyu waters and flew drones near Japan's outer islands after remarks from Japan's Prime Minister suggesting a Chinese attack on Taiwan could trigger a Japanese military response.
So this is 3 different people saying the same thing about Japan.
Forces deployed the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group to the Caribbean in a significant escalation of an anti-illicit substance campaign, sparking anger in Caracas and concerns the move could pressure Nicolas Maduro's government, despite Trump signaling possible talks. NATO's intelligence assessment says Russia has completed its nuclear-powered Burevestnik cruise projectile, described as a system with extreme range and maneuverability that could complicate European defense. This, as former First Sea Lord and ex-UK Security Minister Lord West said the UK is operating inside a grey zone confrontation with Russia, citing persistent probing of undersea infrastructure, drone activity, and rising Arctic military pressure.
You know, this period in time in our history right now, it looks an awful lot like 1930s. We got extreme radicalization, we got civil unrest, we've got countries all ready to declare war on each other. We've got alliances. We've got everything. The world is set up right now for a world war. Unless we're careful.
Gen Z protests rock Mexico City. 120 plus injured, 20 arrested. Washington erupts as Marjorie Taylor Greene says Trump endangered her after calling her a traitor
By the way, after this happened,
before the Epstein Files vote. Security firms warn.
She came out this morning with Thomas Massey, and she made this grand statement about finding justice for the survivors, which I'm totally for. But I also can't. I've tried to look into who created the video with the 7 or 8 survivors on that video, and there's no link to the Democrats making it, but there was. Like Grok found links to the Open Society Foundation, and which is George Soros's foundation, the same guy who's doing all the paid protesting and stuff. But all the links were to pages that I couldn't access because either I'm in Canada and it's censored, or it was taken down before the video was posted. But basically, the way that it was explained to me is the video was made by an organization called Tides. And then the Tides organization is funded by George Soros and other organizations. So this organization went out and made this video and released it at this specific time, specifically for a reason. And it's not just to help survivors. And in their own video, they state that there's thousands of survivors like them. So if there's thousands of survivors, then why is there only 7 of them talking? I find the whole thing a little bit strange, and I'm going to apply Dan Bongino's rule, which is we're going to let that cook for at least 3 or 4 days before we start really looking into it and try to get some information out of it, and then before we make a decision about what's going on. So anyway, we're going to go back into how Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene are filing it, and Thomas Massey and some others in the mega party.
She faces rising threats as the GOP feud escalates. UK rolls out its toughest asylum over.
Which it was just like a brief going over what's going on. It's actually a lot more complicated than that, but this is just like briefly going to summarize what happened yesterday.
3-month status, 2.5
2 days ago.
reviews, and a 20-year settlement path. Backlash grows as claims rise. Gaza and West Bank violence climbs. 3 killed in Gaza strikes, a teen shot in Nablus. Toll hits 69,483. UNIFIL says Israeli tank fire hit peacekeepers. Tens of thousands march at COP30 in Brazil, demanding climate justice and a fossil fuel phase-out DRC, and M23 SEAL, a Qatar-brokered peace framework in Doha. Ukraine hits Russia's Ryazan refinery as Russia claims gains in Zaporizhia. Both sides trade drone strikes. Finland's president says a Ukraine ceasefire before spring is unlikely, warning Russia is waging hybrid war.
All right, so that's the overview. Look at the wars themselves, the conflicts that are going on. So I think this is Pakistan versus Afghanistan.
A new and dangerous conflict has erupted, this time between Pakistan.
So this happened on the 12th of October. It says there. But it's a chronological order of things that are happening. When you see them all happen in chronological order, you'll start to see that there's something going on here.
Dangerous conflict has erupted, this time between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Just days ago, Pakistan launched a massive airstrike near Kabul, targeting suspected militant hideouts. The attack destroyed several compounds, flattening buildings and causing dozens of losses, including armed groups and civilians. In swift retaliation, Afghanistan announced military action. Late at night, Afghan forces launched border attacks on several Pakistani posts, claiming to capture positions and neutralize soldiers. Pakistan quickly struck back with full-scale counter-operations, sending air raids deep inside Afghan territory. Pakistani tanks and artillery have reached the frontier, and early reports show massive damage on both sides. What makes this even more alarming, Afghanistan's foreign minister was in India when strikes began. Many believe India's influence may have fueled the conflict, turning it into a proxy confrontation. As chaos deepens, Pakistan continues its offensive, ignoring calls for a ceasefire. Border regions remain under fire, civilians fleeing the combat zones. Where this heads next, no one knows. In the end, we all pray for peace.
All right, so Russia versus Ukraine.
A dangerous new phase.
So this happened the 27th of October. So we're starting to move up in the timeline, like about 2 weeks later.
Ukraine's conflict has now entered a dangerous new phase, because this time, the UK and France have officially stepped onto the battlefield. Last night, Russia launched a powerful strike on Ukraine, causing major damage and disruption. Russian forces have advanced toward Pokrovsk and nearby areas, tightening control and pressuring Ukrainian defenses. In response, the UK and France have stepped forward to support Ukraine. France has deployed Mirage 2000 fighter jets, giving Ukraine a strong boost in air power. Meanwhile, the UK has delivered 5,000 modern missiles, a move that has left Moscow furious. Russia has now issued a serious warning to both nations, demanding they stop interfering. Otherwise, Moscow could take direct action, and experts warn this could escalate into a global conflict. And to make things worse for Russia, it has just faced another major setback. The US has imposed new sanctions on Russian oil companies, and now India and China, Russia's main buyers, have paused their imports. A big economic blow for Moscow. So now the question is, what will Russia's next move be? Share your thoughts.
So that's important. Okay, let's go back.
Now the question is, pause their imports. Main buyers have paused.
India and China, right?
Now India and China, Russia.
So this region stopped giving oil to Russia. Now what's right next to it? Pakistan and Afghanistan, right? And they're fighting. So this whole region right here is exploding right now. Watch. Oh, did I screw it up? Well, we'll just go to Nigerian strikes. So this is what could happen. This was talked about on November 5th. But hasn't happened yet.
The U.S. Navy and armed forces are reportedly fully ready to launch a massive strike on Nigeria. Yes, Donald Trump has ordered the American military to stay on high alert for a possible action against Nigeria. Nigeria, Africa's most populous country with more than 220 million people. It's officially secular but deeply divided along religion, about 50% Muslim and 48% Christian. And that's where the friction starts. Right now, the country is led by a Muslim-led administration. Trump says Nigeria's government has failed to protect Christians, especially in the Northeast, where militants are accused of targeting Christians. Now, Washington has issued a final warning: either stop the violence or face American consequences. The U.S. has reportedly given Nigeria a very short time to respond. Officials in Washington warned that if no action is taken soon to ease the situation, a major strike on Nigerian soil could become a serious possibility. So now the question is, will Nigeria take decisive action, or will it eventually buckle under growing U.S. pressure? Tell us your thoughts in the comments. And in the
All right, so next up. Now, then a war broke out with India and Pakistan. Or no, India could strike Pakistan again. India was fighting Pakistan earlier, even before all this that I showed you. Oh, wait, no. And you remember Bangladesh had a suicide bomber? And then India had terror attacks and then explosives and all this stuff going on.
New conflict against Pakistan at any moment, because yesterday, a massive explosion rocked New Delhi, the Indian capital, leaving at least 10 casualties and many others affected. And just like every time before, India might once again point fingers at Pakistan for this attack. Back in May, a similar incident occurred in Indian-occupied Kashmir, which India also blamed on Pakistan. That accusation triggered a serious military clash between the two nations, where 6 fighter jets were shot down. Meltdown, and a full-scale conflict erupted across the border. The conflict only ended 6 days later, when Donald Trump personally intervened, pressuring both sides to step back from the brink of total war. But now, after the New Delhi explosion, global analysts warn that India could once again use this tragedy as a pretext to strike Pakistan, a move that might spark another major escalation, especially since both nations have nuclear weapons. So now the question is, will India attack Pakistan again? Or will President Trump's warning be enough to hold them back?
Don't forget, China's right here, and Russia's right here. And people are saying that America wants to have a base here somewhere to be next to China and Russia. So that could have something to do with it too. Now, this is on our side of the hemisphere. All right. Let's check this one out. Venezuela mobilizes forces amid fears of U.S. ground invasion. What happened? In response to Trump administration's dispatch of U.S. warships to the Caribbean, Venezuela has activated military units and begun stockpiling arms and equipment. The government describes the effect as prolonged resistance involving small units at more than 280 sites prepared to carry out sabotage and other guerrilla tactics, according to Reuters. So we're going to see this is the comparison in their power. So mil power index. So U.S. is number 1 in the power index. Venezuela is number 50. America has a population of 340 million people. Venezuela has 28.4 million. And I forget what GNI stands for, but this is basically how much money they have. USA has 29.2 trillion, and Venezuela has 1,119 billion. But America is getting itself surrounded or in multiple front wars, or could possibly be in multiple front wars by the looks of it, which is not good because NATO's going to get involved, and then China and Russia is going to get involved, and then it's going to go to shit.
Breaking news. The U.S. could be one step closer to a real war with Venezuela, as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announced Operation Southern Spear. And this comes as there are
Now, this is the one I reported on the other day.
already high tensions with Venezuela. Here's what you need to know about Operation Southern Spear. According to Pete Hegseth, he says that this will be targeting the narco-terrorists and protecting the United States from drugs that are killing Americans. I don't know what to say. Is this not the same thing that's already happening now, but maybe just with a new name? Maybe we don't really know at this moment. The United States is amassing a crazy amount of firepower in the Caribbean, including the world's largest aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford. Donald Trump in the past has already openly said that he's considering doing real strikes on land inside Venezuela. Something that Nicolas Maduro said, no, we're not going along with that idea. There is no final decision yet on whether Donald Trump will actually be targeting Venezuela, but this is something that's still up in the air. Let me know what you think in the comments.
All right, so these are going to go in chronological order. I'm going to show you some stuff here now. This one is Venezuela, USA, the next day afterwards. So this one was 1 day ago.
Breaking news. The USA is becoming isolated in the US-Venezuela tensions. The UK has officially stopped sharing its intelligence with the US, and here's why this comes in response to the US carrying out dozens of airstrikes on Venezuelan boats in the Caribbean. The important part is that the UK believes these attacks are illegal, and they do not want to facilitate the killing of civilians in the Caribbean. Colombia also says they will never use their intelligence for the USA. Meanwhile, Iran is sending drones to Venezuela for Venezuela to use to bomb American warships if the US decides to bomb Venezuela. And this is a huge deal. China is also going to be sending military equipment to Venezuela as well, meaning the US could be in for a big fight with Venezuela. Russia has already sent large amounts of air defense systems, missiles, and weapons to Venezuela. It's very likely that Russia's allies, like China and Iran, would also be willing to send more support to Venezuela too. As usual, leave me a follow for more global.
So this is gearing up to be something like pretty heavy. That could be multiple years and multiple fronts and many different countries, like kind of like a world war. Hopefully, like people don't understand how much Trump is actually doing, trying to keep all these wars on like stopping a lot of wars. Because right now, all these wars haven't broken out yet.
Breaking news. The U.S. and Trinidad are holding joint naval exercises that are set to begin this weekend. The drills
Pakistan-Afghanistan and Pakistan and India did.
Come as part of a U.S. military buildup in the Caribbean and follow a string of attacks on vessels it claims are smuggling drugs. Venezuela's President Maduro has threatened Trinidad, saying he will attack if they do not stop helping the U.S. with their naval exercises. Trinidad is turning into an aircraft carrier for the American empire to be used against Venezuela, as it has just allowed an American warship to dock in its capital city. Venezuela has also cut off a major gas deal with Trinidad. Meanwhile, U.S. B-1 bombers have reached Puerto Rico, military exercises are underway, and air defense systems across the country have been activated. Venezuela says these preparations began when the U.S. warship Gerald R. Ford arrived in the Caribbean Sea of Latin America. Venezuela has deployed S-300VM, Buk M2, and other Russian-made medium-range air defense systems capable of targeting up to 36 different objects at once. These systems provide a strong defense network across the country. Venezuela has also deployed Su-30 Mk2 long-range fighter jets and other aircraft. If war breaks out, it will be fought on equal footing, and Venezuela has vowed to give a strong and full response to any U.S. aggression. Breaking news.
So my thoughts are America's pretty divided right now between left and right wing ideologies. And right now, more than anything, at least the right needs to be unified, even if there's a lot of like tension right now and a lot of things that don't agree on. I think being split up right now is going to be really bad. And I think the other countries need to pull their weight too, like Canada and UK and all these countries. And we're going to be in for a big fight if all this goes down. So we got to be ready. Now, that was pretty heavy. So I got one last clip for you guys. That's a little less light. Or a little less heavy, I should say. So this is the story of North America being discovered.
Many Americans believe Christopher Columbus was the one who discovered the Americas in 1492. But what if I told you there was another explorer who reached the continent nearly 500 years before him?
So this is where I'm from. Newfoundland.
His name? Leif Erikson, a Viking adventurer from Iceland and the son of Eric the Red, the man who founded
You know that Viking show?
Greenland. You see, around the year 1000 AD,
You remember Greenland?
Leif set sail west from Greenland after hearing tales of a strange new land spotted by another sailor. Guided only by the stars and the icy winds of the North Atlantic, Leif and his crew sailed into the unknown. After weeks at sea, they finally spotted land on the horizon. Leif called it Helluland, meaning the land of flat stones. Historians believe this was most likely Baffin Island. From there, he sailed farther south and reached a forested shore, which he called Markland, or Land of Woods. But beyond that,
That's what the Inuit call Labrador.
Leif and his crew discovered something extraordinary. A mild green land filled with wild
This is what we call Newfoundland.
grapes and salmon. He named it Vinland, believed today to be Newfoundland, Canada. There, Leif built wooden lodges and spent the winter, becoming the first known European to set foot in the Americas.
So yeah, that's where I'm from. That's our history, our shared history. Everybody came from Newfoundland and settled here, or most people did. I think even the Mayflower stopped here and then sailed down to America. So I want to thank you guys for watching the Shane Holloway Show. You've been watching Shane Holloway, obviously. And don't forget to leave a like, share, subscribe, and follow. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.